Okay, so we're looking at a completely new dimension of decimals, and what we're going to be doing, as it says in red at the top, multiplying decimals by 10, 100, 1,000. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is, if you are not 100% on multiplying by 10, 100, or 1,000, stop here and let me know, and I will make a video of multiplying ordinary numbers by 10, 100 and 1,000. If you're kind of half and half, listen to the video. If you're confident, listen to the video. And if you're kind of half and half, then it'll maybe watching the video bring it all back to you. Okay. Now, it says at the top, you must really know your tables. And I know that most of you are pretty good with your tables. But this is focusing on 10, 100 and 1,000. So if you're not confident with your 7 or 8 or your 9, that is not going to be a huge disadvantage here. This is about 10, 100 and 1,000. Okay, so in this green box, it says if you multiply by 10, move all your figures one place to the left. Now I'm going to mark on here in purple. Well, that looks as if it might be coming out yellow. I want it to come out purple. Here's the decimal point. Okay. I hope you can see where I've marked that. Here's the decimal point. Okay. Now, just like when you were adding, you lined up the decimal points. The first thing to remember is the decimal point doesn't move. Okay. So the first one is multiplying by 10. There's multiplying by 1,000. There's the decimal point. I don't want to kind of draw right through the sum. And even multiplying by 1,000, the decimal point doesn't move. It's the numbers that move. Okay? The decimal point stays still and the numbers move around it. I cannot emphasize that enough. And when you are using your squared paper, and just like you lined everything up, please be sure that you line everything up properly with your decimal point. Your decimal point when you're multiplying, and when we come on to dividing by 10, 100 and 1,000. And actually, once you can do this, you can multiply by 10,000, a million. Okay? The decimal point doesn't move. It's the numbers that move. Okay, so it says if you multiply by 10, move all the figures one place to the left. So if you notice, you've got 4.37. The decimal point stays where it is, and all of a sudden you've got your 4 moved from the unit to the 10 column, your 3 moved from the tenths to the unit column, and your 7 moved from your thousandths to your tenths column. Okay? But the decimal point didn't move. Right? When we multiply by 100, it's exactly the same, but we're moving 2 places. And when we're multiplying by 1,000, it's exactly the same, but we're moving 3 places. Okay? So look at that carefully. The decimal point has not moved from the question to the answer, but the numbers have moved, and some of them have jumped over it. So the 3 in the first one, 4.37, the 3 jumps over the decimal point. In 21.372, the 3 and the 2 jump over the decimal point. And in 39.4098, the 4, 0 and 9 jump over the decimal point in order to get to their new column. This is all about the numbers moving columns, and the decimal point staying still. Okay. So I'm going to go through some of the answers with you. This is quite straightforward. 1a, 3.6 times 10 is 36. The 6 jumps over the decimal point and it becomes 36. In the last one, L, it's the 0 that jumps over the decimal point. So it goes from 0.0508 to 0.508. Okay? Because we are moving, we don't start 0.508. You can just get rid of that extra 0 at the beginning. Okay? Just like you don't have a 0 before the number 6. You don't put 06 when you're writing 6. So you don't put an extra 0 there either. Okay? In 2, we're multiplying by 100. So 2a, 3.82 becomes 382 because we've got two numbers. If you notice, we're multiplying by 10. 10 has got 1 0, which I will point to. 10 has got 1 0 there. 100, that is a desperately terrible arrow. The 100 has got 2 zeros and the 1000 has got 3 zeros. Now the reason I'm pointing that out is that's how many numbers jump over the decimal point. So 10 has got 1 0, so one number jumps over the decimal point. 100 has got 2 zeros, so 2 numbers jump over the decimal point. And 1000 has got 3 zeros, so 3 numbers jump over the decimal point. So let's look at 2h. 2 numbers jump over the decimal point, so it goes from 0.0095 to just 0.95. Those two numbers, those 2 zeros have jumped over the decimal point, and actually we don't need them. Okay? In number 3a, 2.947 becomes 2,947 because we've got 3 zeros, so 3 numbers jumping over the decimal point. And the last one, h, that one is a trickier one, it's because the numbers are not disappearing. So we're putting 3 numbers over the decimal point, so the answer is 800.5. And if you notice at the end there, I will mark it in red. Right there, there's a little full stop. Just ignore that. I don't know why they've put that in. It's actually at the end of all of the last ones. It seems utterly bizarre to me that they would bother with a full stop. That is not a decimal point. It's a full stop. Ignore it. I think because it starts with a question or a sentence, write down the following. That is a full stop, so it's not a decimal point. It's a bit more straightforward here when you've got a question mark, because you're not going to confuse that with a decimal point. Okay? And at the end there's also one. So, a jar of pickles weighs 3.4 pounds. What is the weight of... You're multiplying by 10, multiplying by 100, and multiplying by 1000. Okay, this one, it's all 1000. So this one is basically, number 4 is basically like 3 all over again. Okay, so that's all there is today. If you get to the end of question 2 and you think I've had enough, that's fine. Do it over 2 days. I'm not going to push you. And tomorrow you'll be doing division.